Alright, hello everyone. This is a quick overview of the factory I built in Functorio. This factory generates exactly 150 signs per minute. All the sciences that you can build on Nauvis. And so right here what we're seeing is basically the part of the factory where all of our inputs are loaded into the factory and unloaded from trains. And as you can see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 copper belts, and we have 8 of these iron belts, 2 rock belts, and 1 copper belt. And then in addition, we have 1 water, 1 lubricant, and 1 petroleum line here. And so those are all the inputs to our factory. And all of these are blue belts, and they're all being basically consumed at almost full rate. As we keep going through our factory, the first thing you see are all these smelting columns. And they are the tallest part of the factory, because it takes a lot of these guys to melt down a whole blue belt of ore. But here you saw we reached the top. And here exactly in the middle is where we balance our belts, because your factory only loads on the right belt, so we balance everything to the left and right belt. And this is automatically generated for you by Functorio. And so, because we have 6 of these belts, we need 6 of these columns here. And you know, building all of this manually and designing it would be quite a challenge in real Functorio. With Functorio, you just literally have a loop that does 6 times this and 80 times or whatever many it takes up, and you're good. And on to the smelting of our iron. It's basically the same thing. Also see how roboports are automatically generated to make this easy to build. Then we have stone, which is also being smelted, basically the same. And then we have our columns for steel. What's interesting about steel is that you have like a 5-to-1 ratio. So for every 1 output of steel, you actually need 5 inputs. So what we do is we take all these half-full belts that come out here. They're actually less than half-full. They're all just like a fifth of a belt. It just looks fuller because it's all backed up. And then we use these stations here to merge all of them into 1 full belt, or 3/5 full belt. And you can do that easily with the merge function in Functorio. Alright, and then this is the first time we're using pipes. In Functorio it's also easy to use pipes. Pipes are basically just the same as belts. They're just a variable with a throughput and an ingredient. And we automatically generate the pipes for you to go to your factory. And here we're generating sulfur from these pipes. And then once we've done the sulfur, we put it back on the bus. And once we have sulfur and a bit of iron, we put it in our factory and we put the first liquid back onto our bus. And you see, it's just kind of like a belt. How it works internally is that the algorithm searches for a free spot in the bus, and then it just puts the liquid there. And you know, it makes sure that 2 pipes would be directly next to each other, because then they would merge. And then here is our production of plastic. I don't quite remember why we need 2 columns. Probably because one of them already floats the bus belt. And then here we come to our chip factory. Chips take a huge amount of space. They're so good at filling belts. So we have basically the same thing 4 times to create green chips, and then another one of those, and then they're always merged into one big green belt. And now that we have these green chips, we turn them into red chips here, and as you know, red chips have a lot of space. And then we go over here. By the way, all these robots flying around, they're just moving research places. And then we come here to the blue factory, and gears. And now we are having our first science. So the gears go down and straight back up into our red science building. And gears are the sort of thing that you need a lot of. So here we actually don't consume the full belt. We just use a splitter to take a small piece off of it, and the rest still passes through. And this is super easy to do in Functorio. You just call the split function on your bus. You say how much do you want on the left, how much do you want on the right, and then you just keep going. Now that we have red signs, we're preparing for green, so we're putting belts and inserters. Black signs needs all the ammunition and walls and grenades. And then for blue signs, we just do pipes and engines. And again, all this stuff is managed on the bus, you know? You see, it's turned from like a sea of iron and copper into much more interesting stuff, right? With all the electronics flowing through it, and, you know, plastics and balls and everything. And that gets turned into sciences. And then we have more stuff here. And again, all of this is pretty easy to just design in Functorio. You just say, hey, I want however many I need of these to get my 150. I usually start with the research. So I say I want to have 150 of these per minute. And then I go back and I'm like, okay, how many of these will I need? Because, you know, the type then tells you, hey, I need so and so much rails per second, right? Or per minute. And then you just build that many of the rails, and that tells you, hey, I need so and so much stone, and then you get that, and then just work backwards. Batteries, electric engines, flying robot thingies. And here we have it, our last pack. And then you see all the sciences arriving here. It should be at exactly the right rate. I timed this at some point. I think if you look at the statistics, it probably would be wrong because I have a bunch buffered up. But it does generate it at exactly the right amount. I actually tried it in the editor and you can see it. Yeah, here we have like a glowing science thing. I have another science thing somewhere. And if you zoom out, you can see this beauty in action, all coming together. The gigantic smelting columns and all the various other things happening here, and the loading and unloading of our trains. Now the trains are not yet automatically generated by Functorio. That's why it looks a lot like spaghetti. You know, gotta left some spaghetti. To make sure these things actually come in time, because you see, we're loading and unloading like rapidly, right? That's why we have a big buffer here. Things get buffered up here, and then we have two usually waiting so that when one moves, the other one can scoot right in. And then, you know, you need like an actual mining setup, right? Nothing fancy, basically robots. Yeah, that's it. Hope you like it. I hope you have a lot of fun in Functorio. Honestly, this has been like the most fun I've had designing factories, and it just looks so neat, right? It's like so neat. Yeah. All right. Cool. And yeah, of course, there's a million things to come, right? Like, I mean, this is all still very basic. We still need like beacons and modules and all that good stuff. So if you know how to program, I'd love it if you help me out. It would be a lot easier if I don't have to code it all myself. Alright, cool. Thank you so much. Hope you enjoy it. Bye.